Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse, and today we are talking all about X-Men. We're going to do an X-Men Legends 3 fantasy draft. I'm your host, Dylan Musk, and I have with me the Clown Prince of Mutants, Travis Snell.
Yes, I'm so excited. It's a good time. We got Deadpool Wolverine. We got the X-Men 97. Talking about some X-Men games. We talked about X-Men games a couple months ago with those leaks. So it's just a good time to be an X-Men fan. I feel like we were, and we had to suffer some lulls, but I'm very excited for this cast. And hopefully someone in the ether hears this and be like, that'd be a good idea for us to do. So just like they did with Marvel Alliance 3.
It's happened once before, yeah.
Yes, we can do it.
And then we also have the Dreamcaster, Kirklin Patzer. How's it going, my friend?
Going very good. I'm very happy anytime that we can talk about X-Men, and it's just, it's exciting. I've never played X-Men Legends, so going into that pretty blind. I've seen you guys do it on the 24-hour stream, but I feel like it was probably in the 2 a.m. slots, so it all kind of blended together in those wee hours. But
Did we
I'm
do
excited
it?
to.
I thought we had tech issues and we never got to do it. I think that's what
I feel like
was
you did like a couple
I don't
minutes
think we
because
have
I remember
GameCube
seeing.
controllers, but maybe
Yeah,
we
no-
booted it up. I can't remember.
Are you not
Maybe I'm thinking
thinking
of
the Justice League one?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one.
I think
Okay,
that's
there you
what-
go.
yeah.
I'm completely blind on X-Men
Yeah.
Legends then.
I think that's our goal this year is to make sure that we have some X-Men Legends time for sure. Because
It was so late in the night that I thought I was seeing X-Men. I thought I was seeing Wolverine and all
that looks like a claw.
They're all the same game, pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean, guys, we haven't talked about this, but is March officially X-Men month with the show coming out? We're doing all sorts of drafts and fantasy things.
March and April, both of them are X's.
We'll have 2 X-Men months in a row.
Yeah, because it goes in April, and then we're doing a second fan cast draft in April as well. So yeah, I think March and April are the month of X.
So there you go. For any X-Men fans, this is the time to subscribe, join our channel, and definitely join the Patreon to get episodes early and ad-free. Because a lot of these drafts will probably be recorded a couple weeks or days in advance, so you can get them.
Well, and some of those are exclusive
early.
too. So look out for
Well,
that.
there you go.
So, yeah.
All that good stuff. But yeah, we're doing this in honor of X-Men 97 coming out later this month. So this episode's a little bit early, but once again, we want to get a head start on the X-Men month here. Other things on the feed, we're doing the weekly Halo reviews. Check that out. We just reviewed Dune, which is doing really well so far. Thank you everyone for listening to that. And we got news and Travis Told Yous and all the other classic weekly stuff going on.
Adrenochrome, March 15th. Look out for that.
There you go.
Oh.
Adrenochrome, March 15th. Where do people go for that? What do they do?
Likely
stay tuned to the-
Patreon. I'm
to, like,
testing
our
out this
Twitter or
week,
something,
but
and then-
Patreon has this. Yeah, there'll be links everywhere, but Patreon, I think they have. I got to test out the file size. If not, it's going to be like. I forgot the name of it, but they have these new thing now where you can sell just specific pieces. So not like if you don't want all the episodes, you could put out one episode. So that's what I think this is going to be, where it's going to be a separate thing, not for a subscription, and just you can do it. But there, it'll be all your usual places where you can find our stuff. So
Okay, sounds good. So like I said, we are doing it's a one topic kind of day. We're going all in on X-Men Legends. So for anyone who doesn't know what X-Men Legends is, this is a series of 2 games that came out. Or I guess 2 games with different versions. So I guess there's be some more out there, but 2 games that came out in early 2000s, and these are essentially just the same as your Marvel Ultimate Alliance, as your Justice League game that we were just talking about there, where it's like a top-down kind of beat 'em up sort of game where you're unlocking a huge roster of characters, getting combo moves, going through a very goofy story. So these games came out sometime in the early 2000s. We haven't seen one since. And as Travis was saying, with Marvel Ultimate Alliance, we did various casts on that as well. We did like fantasy draft roster. We covered all the trailers and stuff. But when we did those fantasy drafts, I feel like we did manifest the game somewhat, because we did those before there was ever an announcement. And then the game got announced and we covered all of it, all the DLC. And so this is going to be kind of similar to that. And we're hoping that this also manifests an X-Men Legends 3. But yeah, as Kirklin was saying, he's never played this game. I've only played these games a bit because I bought them recently. So they're not even like nostalgia games for me, but I picked them up recently at a used game store. Travis, I forget if you've played these games before.
Though
Maybe you
these were
rented
ones I
back in
had
the day?
only rented. Yeah, rented. And I don't know why I feel like I just bought Marvel Alliance because that was like we get everybody here, right? Even though X-Men's my favorite franchise as far as Marvel stuff, I think that was just also the one that my friends would have too. So it was easy, like, I want to have my own copy and stuff. But I remember playing it and still liking it enough. But yeah, definitely Ultimate Alliance got there more. But yes, I would very much like another one of these, especially today, so much X-Men stuff come back. So
Yeah, what do you guys think the likelihood of a third game in the series happening would be? Considering that we got Ultimate Alliance, and I think it sold decently considering that it was a console exclusive on the Switch over there, who knows how much it would have sold. But I also probably think it was a lower budget game than when you think of like a Marvel's Avengers or maybe even a Midnight Suns or something like that. But what do you guys think the chances are of them doing an X-Men Legends 3? And I don't even know where the IP or ownership would be on those specific games. I guess it was like Activision, so it would be maybe under Xbox now. I don't really know how that works. But what do you guys think? You can see it happening?
I could definitely see the likely potential of an X-Men's Legends game, but I think the overall idea of like an X-Men centric game, even if it's not X-Men Legends, is actually quite possible just because we're really entering into that phase of the MCU of having mutants as well as, 97's back. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of actual focus on the X-Men mutants more so than just mutants being a part of like Ultimate Alliance, for example, because there is mutants in that game. But I feel like there could be something like great potential with just furthering on this IP specifically, but also maybe not X-Men's Legends, but like still that top-down gameplay feel. Maybe make it somehow unique in the sense that it doesn't just feel like an Ultimate Alliance clone or something like that. But I would actually be surprised if we didn't get some sort of focus on that game like that, even if it isn't X-Men Legends. I think that would be really hype, similar hype to how Ultimate Alliance 3 had when that announcement came. Especially just because like I've never played this title, but always found it interesting and wanted to get my hands on it. It's a big bummer we didn't have the GameCube remotes at the time, but
It'll
yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it's tough because I think for me it all depends on what happens with that Insomniac game that we've heard rumored about now. And I say that just because like I know people go, oh, it's Insomniac. Well, if you look at those breakdowns recently past few weeks, like what they're making off these games, it's not like a ton of money now that we thought about, right? When Disney gets like their fees and everything. So just because that's the plan doesn't mean it's for sure going to happen. So I think I'm more like the negative as far as it happening, I'd say in the next 5 years. But the good thing is with like when the X-Men are really coming to the MCU and hopefully when they pop off, that could be in 5 years, right? So I think there's a time. I don't know if they would call it Legends. I feel like it could be a similar thing, but it'd get a rebranding. I would love it if 97 blew up and they did a version of this game, but with 97 aesthetic and characters.
Great, yeah.
That would be like, I think that'd be really cool. So I think there's something like this because now that Alliance got its third, I have seen like every once in a while you got that trending tweet or something of like, oh, games that deserve a sequel. And that comes up a lot more now than it used to. I think just because everyone thought, oh, Ultimate Alliance 3, that's more likely. And now that we got that, it's like, okay, well, this is another pie in the sky. Wouldn't this be great? So I think with each year, as long as 97, other X-Men stuff, Wolverine, it starts to hit, we could see something like it. Like I said, I don't know if they'd call X-Men Legends. They might rebrand it, but and I guess it also depends what Disney feels about Ultimate Alliance, right? Do they view, oh yeah, it was one console that's happy, or did they look, oh, this type of gaming genre is not us, like it for us? So I think I right now have my mindset on it's probably not happening, but I'm always hopeful, and I would like to see even something newer happen if it's like an amalgamation of this, you know?
Yeah, I could probably see it more happening few years down the road, as you guys said, just when X-Men is maybe bigger than it is right now, specifically because X-Men 97. I think there's going to be an audience for that, but it's not going to like blow up in the way that like like the Avengers movies did or anything quite like that. So maybe when they're in the MCU, we could see a resurgence like that, and hopefully Insomniac still does go on to make those things. It's unfortunate that Insomniac is one of the studios affected by the PlayStation layoffs in this last week, so I hope that wouldn't ripple down to them not making X-Men, something like that getting canceled and just focusing on Spider-Man because they know it works. That would be really, really sad. But I hope we see it. And honestly, I feel like Team Ninja, who made Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I think they kind of nailed it for what that game should be. Like, they obviously had a huge roster, such iconic locations. They had like some weird deep cut characters. They had like the street level, the Avengers. They had a ton of X-Men in there. Like, they had a great roster and a lot to do in that game, and then the DLC just added more and more content to it. I really think the main thing I want from it is just like the game not to be locked to the Nintendo Switch. I just want it to be on other consoles where it can be a bit more powerful, or even just the Switch sequel, so it can have a better frame rate and have more like detail and just look a little bit better than Ultimate Alliance 3 did. But honestly, like I think that I love that game. I mean, we did the 24-hour stream when the game came out. I have like over 200 hours in that game. I fucking love it so much. So I think they nailed it. And yes, you could make some improvements here or there. But I think with an X-Men roster too, I imagine that would be a bit tighter. and so you could hopefully spend some of the other development time on honing certain mechanics, making things better, doing more costumes than Ultimate Alliance 3 did. But yeah, I would be totally down for Team Ninja to take on this this third game if it were to happen.
Absolutely. I had no complaints with what they did. If anything, it's like, oh, you could do something here a little different, but nothing like a big con of, oh, this was almost great, but they did X, Y, and Z. You know, I don't really have that. And that's always a big question for me, because I still get that for people that don't own a Switch of like, oh, I would have bought that. I would have loved to have that. I hope it comes over. That to me is a big question. I would have loved to see what that would have done on all three consoles sales-wise together. I'm not saying, oh, it would have been Spider-Man numbers or biggest game, but I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia people that didn't get to make that plunge because for whatever reason they don't have a Switch. If they're not a Nintendo person, if they're on a budget, if they're, if they don't want their kids to have it, as far as just like, hey, you pick one console, this is it. So yeah, I'd be curious, but Team Ninja, that'd be a perfect scenario marriage there. So
yeah, definitely. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a roster of 36 playable characters in this game. For reference, I always like to pick my numbers based on like some other point of reference, and for this, it's Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Think about that roster. We played that game. There are 36 characters. Technically, there's 35 characters, and then like the random icon to make it like a nice even box. But 36 characters overall in that game. So that's the kind of roster we're going for here. The first X-Men Legends game, I think, had 15. The second one had around that number as well. So it's about a similar amount there. And then Ultimate Alliance 3, when you factor in all the DLC characters in there, it was like 50-something. Like, it was a lot of characters.
36 is good, then. I think.
Yeah, so we're going lower than Ultimate Alliance 3. We're going higher than the first
He's like
games.
97. We're doing 97 characters.
Plus DLCs. Plus two DLC packs.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty knowledgeable on X-Men stuff, but yeah, I think coming up with 97 would be pretty freaking hard.
Leech is making it into the roster for doing 97, Brome Baker.
Yeah. Some crazy characters. So yeah, I think maybe what we'll start with here is and we're also maybe talking about some locations or levels you want to see, villains, all the NPC characters. Like, we'll talk about all of it, but I think we'll kind of just build the roster by like, if a character's a lock, we'll put them in the lock category, or if we want to think about them, we'll put them in the contenders. We'll do it that way, and then when we have all those lists built out, then we can decide who's going to make it into that final list. So let's start by just reading through. So the roster of the first game consisted of Beast, Colossus, Cyclops, Emma Frost, Gambit, Iceman, Jean Grey, Jubilee, Magma, Nightcrawler, Professor X, Psylocke, Rogue, Storm, and Wolverine. So
I feel like the most shocking one on there is Professor X for me, honestly. I
More
never
than
heard of
Magma?
Magma, really.
I think he was playable for in like one level. It was like a special.
okay.
Just for playing as Charles, like that's so unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think it is very limited. I think it might be something like how often Venom is used in Spider-Man 2, like that kind of thing. Like, you kind of do them for one sort of level.
Shout out to Lego
Magma's
Marvel.
a really wacky pick to throw in there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say shout out to Lego Marvel where you could play as Xavier a bunch and stuff. But
Nice.
I feel like Magma was someone they added in there because they wanted more female characters, which is fine. But that's there's tons of other very popular female X-Men that you could throw in there first. But
Yeah.
so with that list, why were you giving us that list? Or were you gonna ask us if you wouldn't see any of those making it? Because I feel like those are all.
Magma?
Like, maybe we could talk about it. Hang on. I said other than Magma, and I'd say Charles. I feel like majority of those are all locks. And even nowadays, I feel like I'd lock Charles because I'd want to see them tackle Charles. Be like, okay, how do we make this player different? I think it's just a telekinesis, right? So we've seen that with Doctor Strange and Jean Grey and Wanda and stuff. So I feel like you can make it work. So I feel like other than Magma, that's like all those people would make it into this game.
Yeah, I mostly. I think I almost completely agree with you here. There's a couple, most of them are just like complete locks, but there's a couple weird ones in there. Or there's certain characters like Jubilee, X-Men Legends 1. That was the only time she's ever been playable in any of these games. She wasn't playable in the second one, not in Ultimate Alliance 1, 2, or 3. So it's kind of weird that and even Emma Frost was another one, only playable in that first game, never playable in any of these games ever again. So
Frost
some of them are in all of these games, but some of them are only maybe make one appearance. So I don't know. I just kind of want to do this just to set the scene of what the previous games did. And this can help set a foundation for us. But yeah, I'm not saying that we're locking any of these guys right off the bat. Just throwing it out there. Kirklin,
Emma Frost was surprising for me on that list as well. But like, I just think about her move set, and like it seems very translatable to the game. I mean, obviously, if she's was in this game, I think she would be a great inclusion into a 36-man roster. And basically everyone else. I think Professor X is still hard for me to picture. I just picture
have
you
a
like
conversation
spamming
about
his
him,
move,
for sure.
like just doing circles in the little chair or something.
Yeah.
I think you got to make him really OP. Hitbox real low, like you can die quick, but or
Just 1
hitbox
HP.
real big, yeah,
Glass
1
cannon.
HP. But he is like always has his finish ready to go. You know, his ultimate X.
Here's the roster for X-Men Legends 2. So now that I'm looking at it, actually it's quite a bit bigger in terms of numbers. So you have Beast, Colossus, Cyclops, Gambit, Iceman, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Storm, Wolverine, and then here are the characters that weren't. Those are all characters that were in one. Here's some new ones. Bishop, Juggernaut, Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Sunfire, Toad, Cable, Cannonball, Dark Phoenix, X-Man, don't know who that is,
Yeah.
Pyro, Sabretooth, Iron Man was in this game for some reason, and Deadpool to close out the list.
That's a really good roster, actually, even with Iron Man. But that's a fun, different, unique roster there. But
I like having some freak characters in there,
Yeah.
like that are just real deep cuts. I think
Toad.
we should try and have a couple of those, 1 or 2 in our roster of just completely off the wall sort of picks.
Oh well, there's definitely one I'll be fighting for. He's not in our photos here, but come on now, you know. So
Travis X-Man. Do you know who that character is?
I think he's
the deal with
somebody.
X-Men?
Yeah, I've seen him on. I remember he was a comic I had at my grandma's that I didn't like. He's somebody that they were trying to make sing. And I think he's somebody's kid, maybe.
Scott
Jean
Summers,
Grey,
Jean
Jean
Grey.
Grey's?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they renamed him later on because I think it's kind of like the
Oh.
Captain Marvel thing where it's
Here
like
you go. Born of genetic splicing with Mr. Sinister. So Mr. Sinister
that's
highly
interesting,
involved
man.
in this character.
I wonder if we'll learn any more about him in the coming months. I wonder, but that was just his name for a bit, and then they dropped that. The same way I can't remember. Jean Grey has a child later on too that it has some sort of weird name. It's not like Miss X-Men, but it's something where it's like really like you want this to be the lead character. So I that must have just been to the story. That's definitely, if I'm showing my cards, not anyone I would include here. I don't think there's many kid characters, not kid age, meaning kid descendants of other mutants I would include, unless you would count one certain clone, which we can talk about later. But
So, and then looking at Ultimate Alliance also for the characters that were in those games, there aren't any like X-Men specific characters that only appeared in those games and not in X-Men Legends. So I found that interesting when I was going through here. There are how many characters? Let me see. 1, 2, 3. There are 5 characters who are playable in both X-Men Legends games and all 3 Ultimate Alliance games. Who do you guys think those are? Because those are got to be just solid locks on the list immediately, right?
Nightcrawler.
no.
Oh, okay.
You
He
would
was
put Nightcrawler in the top 5, eh?
Just for playable, I feel like his moveset, like the first time I played Ultimate Alliance, I just felt like that was the guy that I wanted to be bamfing around in. But I mean, Wolverine, I guess.
Wolverine's one of them, absolutely.
And did you say Marvel Alliance 1 and 2 or Marvel Alliance 1, 2, and 3?
All 3 of them, and both X-Men Legends games.
Okay. I got 3. I know it'd be Wolverine, Storm, and Deadpool. It's the other 2 that I'm having a tough time because I know Klops.
Not Deadpool. Deadpool's not in the first X-Men Legends game.
Oh, right in X-Men Legends. Okay. Because I know Gambit, my boy, one of my favorite fucking players in Marvel Alliance 2 is not there. Okay, so Storm and Wolverine.
Yep.
Klops I know was in 1, but he was in both of them. Jean Grey. I feel like she was in Marvel Alliance 2.
She was not in Ultimate Alliance 1. That's the one
Right, she
spot
was just
she's
a
not
kid.
in.
She
And there's also
died,
like some in Ultimate Alliance 3, her name is Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think some games she's Jean Grey. In I
It's
think
all the same.
yeah, one of them she's Dark Phoenix, so I guess that would be like slightly different, but I think for our purposes we'd bundle that as one character.
Oh man, yeah, you'll have to give me the other 3 because I'm blanking right now. Really, on who they could be.
Who
Obviously, characters I didn't play with.
one of
much.
them is the leader of the team in 97, the new one.
Oh, Magneto. Fuck.
Wait, I thought Cyclops was the leader. Is Magneto the leader?
Wait. Oh, I guess Cyclops, was he a DLC then in Marvel Alliance 2?
I don't know. I just wrote down that he was in there some way. I know
I don't
for
know if he
Ultimate Alliance,
was.
there was a lot of like like the Game Boy version had like
Yes.
She-Hulk or something random. So I think there was a lot of weird exclusive characters. So maybe the version you had didn't have a Cyclops.
Okay, because even Cyclops in the first one, he was DLC as well. Not
Right.
exclusive, but he was DLC.
And
Okay,
he was
so
DLC in 3 as well, actually. So he's not always
Yeah.
been in the base roster, I suppose. But
Okay,
yeah,
so
he's in all 5.
okay,
You got Storm and Wolverine. I think I maybe overcounted. I think there's actually just 4. So you
Okay.
only need one more. And yeah, it's not someone you would immediately think of, but it's
Juggernaut?
Iceman. Iceman is in
Iceman.
all 5 of these
Interesting.
games.
that makes sense. I could see them be like, we don't want a water ice guy. So yeah,
It does make sense because he's like no one has a moveset quite like him.
Yeah.
So even if personality wise he's not as engaging or story wise, he's just got a moveset you can't not have him in the game. So I think that should be we should start with those 4. I think we can slap all 4 of those on our list right away. Are you guys happy with that?
I agree.
Wolverine and Storm are like the easy go. Like I think those are the insta locks. But yeah, those 4 I would agree with. Yeah.
Yeah. And then other characters, so we're just gonna start with some obvious ones, and then we can get into pitching our new ones and whatnot. And so these are characters that were in both X-Men Legends 1 and 2 that we haven't mentioned yet. Beast and Cyclops. Should we just lock those? Happy to lock those.
Absolutely.
Right
I
away?
would love Beast to
Absolutely.
be in like a new Alliance type of game.
Yeah, because he wasn't in any of the
No.
Ultimate Alliance games. So
No, I think he's an NPC, but
He
he's
is,
never,
for sure.
never played. So I'd love, and they have different costumes with Beast. Yeah,
of course, Gambit as well. I think
absolutely.
we wanna
I
lock
need my
him.
guy back.
Jean
52
Grey
big
as
with
well.
go-
You got to get
So-
her in there.
What do you do with Phoenix though? Is that the same
It
character
could be,
or
it could be
separate?
separate move sets.
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe Dark Phoenix is like a boss fight in the game or something, but the character herself, I don't care. Call her Phoenix, call her Jean Grey. Like,
I'm on the
Jean Grey.
bandwagon where I'd want them separated because I'd want them to have 2 different complete move sets and looks and
Really?
everything. Because there's Phoenix and Dark Phoenix, right? And then there's
Yeah.
Jean Grey. So I just feel like when you look at Jean Grey and you look at Phoenix and her move set, they're not this like now what they do in video games is just give her. They could do that, right? And maybe we can, if we need to fill a slot, you can throw Phoenix in there. But for me, if I was having like a dream roster, I'd want a separate because I feel like Jean Grey
Okay.
would be the more helping, the support character, but Phoenix is the like everything's
attack,
destroyed.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you could just implement that into like an ultimate move though. You could just have Jean Grey, and then like when you hit that ultimate bar, she just turns into Phoenix, and then it's kind of like how Captain Marvel played, right, in Ultimate Alliance when she goes binary mode. She's
Yeah, you
just,
get
like,
a
super
Phoenix
jacked up.
mode. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
in Ultimate Alliance 3, because I booted that up yesterday just to try out some of these characters to remember their move sets. And yeah, like her Phoenix's moveset in that game is full of fire moves. And her her ultimate move, I don't think she like transforms into Dark Phoenix, but she does like a huge fire explosion and like revives someone. So it's a very Phoenix sort of thing. So should we just put Jean Grey on the list for now, and
Sure.
then Dark Phoenix maybe as a contender, or should we just
Yeah.
put both versions in the contender list and come back to it later?
I feel like I'm happy with just the one version. I
Okay.
feel like
Well,
taking
we'll
up
put
2
Phoenix in
slots for
contender
Jean.
then.
That's
Okay,
can
let's
come
do
back
that.
to that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler, as you mentioned,
yeah,
that's a
Kirkland.
lot.
I think
Gotta have in there.
you gotta have Nightcrawler. Rogue, you gotta have Rogue.
Yeah, really souped up power Rogue though. Where you
I want
can
like a
fly
drain
and do-
tank build on
Yes,
Rogue.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Another character who has never been in an Ultimate Alliance game, which is interesting. And then we mentioned Storm and Wolverine. So
Yep.
that's the list of all the characters that were in both games. So I think that could maybe serve as like a nice. That's 10 characters right off the bat. Maybe
It's
that
a
can
good
serve as
foundation.
our nice
Yeah.
foundation there.
Yeah.
Travis, it seems like you're on the tip.
You
of your
just
tongue.
No, I'm
froze.
waiting. I'm waiting for the. I completely agree with that list of 10 so far.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Fireworks.
A Jubilee in the room over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Is she on the cut? Is Jubilee on the cut?
So she
Let's
wasn't
talk
on that
about
list
Miss Lee. Yeah.
that I made, but
Okay.
I think she should be a lock.
Absolutely.
I think
in
she
my
should be a lock. Yeah.
And I want them to make that yellow, whatever
Oh,
trench
yeah.
coat as bright as possible in the game. Like that's her finish.
Mm-hmm.
She just puts it on. You're like, oh, like that's what I want. But absolutely, I feel like you have her lots of good combo moves and everything. So yeah, Jubilee
Mm-hmm.
to me is a lock.
Who else do you guys consider? Would you consider to be just like a lock without a shadow of a doubt? There's no chance this character is not playable.
Two things: are we leaving villains more towards the back half of the conversation?
No, we can bring
Okay.
them in whenever.
I feel like Sabretooth's a lock then.
Sabretooth
He was
as
in
a
one
lock,
game
okay.
already. He was in. I don't know if he was in the X-Men games, but he was in a Marvel Alliance game.
He was in Ultimate Alliance 1 and
Yeah.
X-Men Legends 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he would be. He's tanky, lots of great costumes. It's tough though, and this is where if we want to lock Sabretooth, maybe the counter would be with the game rather. It's tough because I don't know what they do for the moveset, but I guess you got the Foot Claw. To me, it's X-23, and that's the thing. Like, is there a game where you would have Wolverine, Sabretooth, and X-23? I don't know if there would be, and I feel like they would lean towards getting X-23 now because the Foot Claw, I think that is something very fun you could do with. You could
Yeah.
have them different stats-wise. So I think in a dream world, you get them all, but that's my only counterpoint for Sabretooth, that I think he would be a lock, but if we were to have lower in the conversation, then I'd say he kind of gets the
Yeah.
boot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the difficult thing with villains is that naturally, like, I don't know, we could be content, quote unquote, to just have them in the game as like, oh, well, obviously you'd fight against them,
Yes.
and that's okay, and we don't necessarily name those a playable character, and so that's where I would put Sabretooth, I think, in the contender category right now, just because I think we're gonna get up to like high into the 20s pretty quick, you know, and I don't
agree,
know,
yeah.
I don't know if I can lock him quite yet.
I would not pass that vote just yet. I feel like even as cool villains, I feel like there's so much cooler ones than
I
that. Like
agree,
Omega Red would be a lock over that more so. But I also feel like that would be too early because he is just like that would be a villain. It could be like an easy first round of DLC pack, you know, the Omega Red pack. But
You can just do the
Sabretooth-
Weapon X pack with Omega Red, Sabretooth, and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you. Omega Red's a lock for me, but I think that's like for hype. I don't know if they would like. I don't know what the fan base for Omega Red is out there. So
yeah, just a communist character. That's probably not the main one that they're marketing. But for Sabretooth, I also feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong by this, and maybe I'm just going by Marvel Snap stats, but he just seems very similar to Logan, in my opinion, where obviously you can make him separate, but yeah, I don't know, just
because he's
bulkier, I guess.
bigger, he's like the tankier guy.
But like
right?
same general powers, right? Like the regen in there, he's tough, he's just a brawler.
Good sense of smell.
Nails versus claws,
What's that
though,
smell?
big different.
There you
yeah.
go. I don't know. I just feel like to fit that tank type category
Yeah.
or brawler type category, there's so many other like someone like Colossus, for example, that has been in games before.
Yeah,
Like, would he be an instant lock for you? I feel like
for me, yes.
I feel like he would be just because he is like such a generic like brawler type tank character. But yeah,
Colossus is really fun in Ultimate Alliance 3. I can't
Okay.
remember his moveset super well in 1 or 2, but I really like what they did with his moveset in 3.
For me,
I don't think I ever played
Colossus.
People can just like combo their beams off of him like at all times pretty much.
Oh,
He just
that's
like
cool.
walks around and he just reflects beams. It's really cool.
Colossus would be a lock for me. I need that fastball special with Wolverine where he just picks up and toss some stuff. Like, I feel like there'd be.
I thought
like,
we already locked Colossus. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, I thought
Oh,
we did
okay.
too. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My
What
bad.
about Laura? Well, we're talking about the feral characters.
Definitely on my contender list.
yeah, strong contender.
But not an immediate lock. But I would love to get her into this roster for sure.
Especially lately, she's been the actual current Wolverine in comics. I feel like you're gonna get a big push for her in
Yeah.
the next 5 years or so. So
Yeah.
But okay, contender list. All right.
And then, well, I'm surprised. There's a couple other like easy locks for me. But Kirkland, do you have other
Did-
easy lock type characters?
Maybe I missed it, but did we already lock Gambit?
Yeah.
Gambit's locked.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Someone that's kind of out of the ordinary roster, he's been relevant since animated series for sure, is Cable. I don't know if he's been playable, but I feel like he would be a massive lock for me right away just because he's the most badass character. kicking
If you guys
kicking
want
the
to
shit out of
look at
Angel.
the list, you can pull that up.
Okay. Perfect.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah. To me,
yeah,
Cable and
Cable-
Bishop are a combo lock. You know. So
Yeah, Cable was in X-Men Legends 2, and then he was in Ultimate Alliance 2 and 3. 3 as a DLC character as well. I think Cable's a lock for sure.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually locked Deadpool yet. I think we should just do that right
okay.
now as well.
Yeah,
yeah, I guess.
I would.
What-
I would
why-
def-
What holds you back on that, Travis?
I'm Deadpool out in video games. Midnight Suns was my lever where it's like, I didn't need him here, you know, and that's where it's just like, as much
yeah.
as I love, they would absolutely do it. So if you're asking, hey, Travis, business side, would you lock it? Yes. So if we're just making what we think is the roster,
It's
sure.
our dream roster, so it should be our passion rather than what is the
Yeah,
business.
I guess
move.
we'll put him there. I guess there's still, for me, it's just would I rather take Deadpool, who has been playable in so many games, or someone new that's never gone a spot. And that's where I am in the sense where Deadpool's gone his own game. He would definitely make it in there, but for me, that's my only thing. Like Deadpool, one of my favorite characters, love him, but just there's been so much Deadpool. I'd rather be someone. Get me Leech, you know, like, and maybe the character might suck, right? But I just because there's been so much Deadpool, I would actually be fine with a pass. But I think I'm alone on the rock, so it's okay.
I mean, honestly, you're making some good points because I agree in Midnight Suns, like worst character in terms of moveset. And then also, Ultimate Alliance 3, I did not like his moveset very much. So I was never really a big fan of his there. I something just feels wrong if he's not on the roster for me, but
We can wait also. We can just bench him on the contender.
I think we should slap him in contender for now, just based on this conversation.
Stop him at the border.
You're Canadian. You can't get in here. Yeah. What about the twins? I feel like they're a lock.
Yeah.
Pietro and Max. And,
Yeah.
Well,
Especially
Scarlet
as we
Witch for sure. Let's do that right now.
Scarlet Witch, and for me, Quicksilver for sure, because we complain all the time of why don't these games ever get speedsters, and we know why they don't, because it'd be such a pain for me them to figure it out. But Lego Marvel, it's fantastic. Like they crack the code. Like they're like if you play the Flash or even just like play DC, Lego Batman or Justice League, like when you play as Flash, they can be fast, but there's a great like way and effort they use it. For me, I would want Quicksilver to be in there. Cool combo moves. You need the cool synergy between the two. But for me, I want more speedsters in these games. I want them to get challenged, the devs. Not that it's not already a
Was
challenging
Flash in
job,
that
but
Justice League game?
I don't think we ever got that far. He might have been, but
We didn't get very far.
I'll do take a look, but I don't know if he was.
Yeah, so when I was going through this, Quicksilver has never been playable in either X-Men Legends game or any Ultimate Alliance. So I see where you're coming from, Travis, of like, yeah, I understand why not, because it could be tricky. But to me, it's like you just make his like power moves where he does like a big Z formation and like that's like a hitbox. Or you make him do like a spinning tornado thing, and that's how you incorporate the speedster. And you could make his like default move speed a little bit faster than normal. Obviously, with every player sharing the same screen, it's tricky if you have one guy who's like flying super far. But you're already gonna get that jankiness anyway when certain characters are flying over things and whatnot. Like you're already gonna get that chaos in these kind of games. You just gotta embrace it. So yeah, I think for the first time ever, Quicksilver should be playable in one of these games.
I feel like you could also just do like quick attacks as their default attacks and just have them kind of like the animation style doing more effect than what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like maybe just keeps running around the character or something. Like that could be. I feel like it could definitely work.
His
Any
ultimate
game
move,
that
he could like slow the world down and like you could go just beat up a bunch of people.
that would be sweet. Yeah.
Flash
So,
was in that Justice League Heroes game, so I don't know what he played like. So DC did it there. Yeah, but yeah, I'm full in the Quicksilver train. I feel like he has to make his time here, you know?
Yeah, one character that I really didn't know much about. I think before I played Midnight Suns, and then of course she's popping up Marvel Snap. I got Magic.
Yes,
Ilyana Rasputin, I believe is her name.
Yeah, Rasputin. Yep.
Really interesting character, and I feel like just the sword is very, very usable in many different ways. Obviously, just bashing random mobs, or maybe have some sort of teleportation thing to it. Like
bashing random what?
What?
Bashing random what?
What did I say?
I think you said mobs.
I heard moms. I'm like, why? What does that? Like, what does that mean?
I didn't think what I said was so crazy. But
I like that you like immediately forgot what you said.
Yeah,
just look at his reaction. I was just like, what?
What did I say? Yeah. Okay, mobs. Yeah. Okay.
Just bashing random mobs or having like a Bamf effect similar to not necessarily as fast as Midnight Crawler, but just like a group portal, something like that. And she's got a great charisma. Like I feel like just bouncing off other characters, her little one-liners could be.
Her brother's in our game already.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right.
Yeah, so I it's the lock for me.
I'm a huge fan after Midnight Sun, so that's easy lock for me as well. And how about with that, we take a quick break. We'll go to Limbo with Magic for a moment. We'll be right back.
Bean moms.
Okay, we are back.
What's the confusion?
We haven't technically locked Magneto yet, so we should do that.
I was just gonna bring him up. Yes, he's the
Oh,
father.
we already had. Yeah.
Like, you gotta have Magneto.
He's always
right?
super fun in these games. He feels overpowered in the best way possible, especially Ultimate Alliance 3. Like his attacks were so freaking huge. I love X-Men Legends 2 is cool. He's like one of the starting 4 characters you get in that game, which is I think such a fun twist on what you'd expect.
Do we decide on Charles? Do we contender him? Do we decide? Like, that for me is in the
Sell
Quicksilver
me on it.
category where I want to see them challenge. Like, hey, you make this character that is in a floating chair and has no mixed martial arts, no training. It's all in the mind. What do you do with that character? And I think there's enough characters like Jean Grey, Scarlet Witch that they could base it off and go similar to them, but do something completely different. And I think the same way and I think it would be like, for me, Magneto and Xavier would be like, let's say this penultimate level, you play a mission where it's those two together, and you make same thing, Charles, super strong. Like, think about like a big attack, like a what's that called when it's like a big circle around
Like
you?
an
And
AoE.
yeah, think about you do that, and just like all the enemies like hold their minds for a few seconds, stuff like that. Like, I think you could have them turn on each other. You could do many games have that thing where the enemies start fighting each other. Like, all big attacks like that. So you have to be. I don't know if you could solo the game as him, but
One of you
I
should
think
Google or YouTube his some gameplay of him in Ultimate Alliance 1. I'm curious
okay.
what that looks like.
I will in a second, but that would be my pitches. One, the challenge, like Quicksilver, like get him in there. And two, I think when all the things we've seen in the movies, and even just like his finish, I feel like you could do something really cool, like going into the mind, and that's where he messes you up, like almost like a Mortal Kombat thing. I would like to see Charles in this game. You know, like I said, maybe it's something. He's a character. He could be the last unlock. Like you unlock Charles Xavier. He is. That's how strong he should be. Like almost Thanos. Like so.
I'm in a weird spot where I think I'm okay with him being like an NPC, being like the quest giver, being the dude at the mansion. I'm sure he could have a cool moveset. And if this was a roster of 97 characters, absolutely he's in there. But for me with 36, there's a chance. There's a chance I want him in there, but right now I couldn't put him as a roster lock at the moment. I just gotta wait and see what the rest of the field looks like.
I forgot he was also in the fighting game too. So there you go. He made it in the side-scrolling fighting game. That's the first one that came up.
That's the
I
only
had that
gameplay I
game.
could see, and I'm watching, and
really?
it's just Magneto beating the shit out of him. But,
Yeah, I had
And then he
that
does some
game.
mind effects. I feel like I see where you're coming from, Travis, but for right now, it's just hard for me to picture, like, yeah, I can see the CC moves, I can see like the crowd control, the utility that he would provide to a team. But just like what happens when you don't have any mana or whatever that bar is. Like I just can't picture him just beating down people to like you know,
Yeah,
just
I'd have
do
to be,
light
like,
attacks.
shooting little like mind bullets, you know.
Yeah.
Or like just pimp out his chair,
He
I
throws
guess, that
books.
has like a has like a saw
Yeah.
on it.
That
with
was
his kid
something I loved about Ultimate Alliance 3 is that they, for characters that like it doesn't really make sense for them to be punching and kicking, they made like their basic moves not that, like Storm's basic moves are like throwing out little tornadoes, and I think they did such a good job of representing the characters, whereas every other game Storm is like throwing fists around and whatnot. So for Xavier they could do a similar thing where he's like shooting little mind bullets or something, but yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I think, should we leave him contenders for now? We'll come back to him.
I'm not sold on it yet. I'm more sold than I was the first time, but not fully sold yet.
Guys, there's 3 characters that to me are total snubs that they've never been playable in any of these games. One of them we talked about is Quicksilver.
Yeah.
2 other ones, Mystique has never been playable before in any of these games. And once again, I get it. She's mostly like a Black Widow type with the punches and the kicks and the agility and whatnot. But I think, you know, you give her some grenades, you give her a gun or something, you give her some ability to transform into other characters. I think she could be really fun, and she should have a chance to have a moveset.
Not for me. I'm the same way you feel with Charles. I'm fine with her being an NPC because I feel like in a game of X-Men, I don't want grenades and guns. And I feel like she's the character. If you have 36 people and you had to split the roster in half and do a football game, she gets picked last every time. No one's going to want to play as Mystique. Like, I just don't know if there's anything cool to do with her powers in a sense in this, right? Like, I think that would work in like a Mortal Kombat game where you could switch into Sub-Zero as Mystique. Like, oh shit. But for me, I would never, like, of course I'd try her for a review and everything, but I would have no interest to play as Mystique just because it's just a tactical character that can be kind of in everything else. And I guess you could have like a puncher kicker, but there's going to be other combat people with, even if Bishop and Cable, like they shoot and everything, but they still punch. Wolverine punches, Laura Sabretooth punches, Gambit punches. So for me, it's just like there's not enough with her powers or the attack she used that I would want to play as her. I guess I'm fine with her as a contender, but I don't think I would ever select her unless for some reason it was really cool. But I want more of the power base in the X-Men games. That's where I come from with Mystique.
I'm definitely a lot more sold on it. I feel like the type of move set that you like steal someone's abilities or appearance or something is just really appealing to me in gameplay. Like the character of Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 1. Like they use it so good that if you do a set move set, you'll copy the complete, like you'll just be the other character, but then there's also ones that you'll just steal like an ability or something and use it in like the heat of gameplay. And I feel like that can be utilized really well in a type of game that we're pitching. The hardest thing is maybe when you don't have like another, like instead of copying Omega Red's abilities or something like that, like you will have just random mobs. Yeah, but I still think you could have something like you do something and you like become another character from anyone on the roster, like not necessarily anyone that's in the party, and then it's just a limited thing or like certain abilities like that. I just feel like it's really appealing to be able to kind of play every character with the one character. Obviously, it wouldn't be permanent and be very limited, but I'm definitely more sold on this, I think, than Charles so far, but I'm okay with benching her for now.
We'll put her in contender. And the other character that I was surprised to see has never been playable in any of these games is Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, she's on my list. Yeah.
Kitty Pryde with the
too.
dragon version, get her little dragon homie in there, right?
That's a lot for me. Yeah, the dragon homie, you can do multiple different attacks. I think there's lots of cool with the phasing and her going through stuff. So to me, she's led the X-Men before. So to me, that was like that's an instant lock. I get in the past though why she didn't. She's gone more popular over the years, and I just feel like when you have a smaller roster back then, you got to go for those big heavy hitters. But if you're dealing with a bigger roster, she to me would be in top 10, top 15. Like she's the ones that would be in the announcement trailer, you know? So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where you at, Kirklin?
Initially, I feel like her moveset is hard for me to translate into a game like this. I don't really know too much about the dragon thing, but like also just being able to go through terrain obviously has fantastic exploration uses, but I definitely think it can be utilized in combat as well. I don't know the full extent that she uses it. Like I feel like I'm kind of limited on my knowledge of this character in general, but I think because she is so unique, it would be fantastic inclusion in a roster because it is so different than like a regular character. Would she be like a damage dealer utility? Like what kind of role do you think she would fit?
I think she could be like a bit of a support character along with, doing the classic beat 'em up stuff, but I think she'd be very agile, like good at dodging, maybe has like low HP, but is just like really good at dodging attacks, but can also maybe like make a teammate I guess like they intangible or something, so the enemies can't shoot them for a bit or something like that as well. Or maybe they like you could just in a gameplay sense translate that into her having like a heal or something.
Make the whole team like think like that would be a big group activity where you make the whole team go invisible for a bit and they can't take damage and stuff. So
and then having the dragon as like a little pet, I think is a fun idea too, where that could be used for a couple moves as well. So yeah, what do you think, Kirkland? Is that a lock or a contender for you?
I'm okay to lock her, definitely.
Let's do it. For the first time ever.
Yeah.
How about let's go. Maybe we'll finish talking about these characters from the first two games that we think maybe still have a chance of making it into this game. So we talked about Emma Frost.
Yes.
I'd like to see it locked, honestly. That's where I'm at with her.
Yeah, me too.
Are we all there? Travis, contendership, where are you at?
To me, I'm in the same sense of like, in the comics, her and Charles are very similar. So to me, it's like they either both get locked or they're both contenders not locked because she's not a fighter
Charles
either.
can't turn diamond though. She can like tank,
but he could easily
mode.
just put a mind shield in front of him, right? Like that's
what an
he's like,
excuse.
but no, it's just like they are the exact same as far as them as fighters. When you're talking about like what would be their just natural A attack, they both don't have that. So for me, they are too similar, and that's the sense of maybe it'd be like, okay, it's too hard to crack this character, and you could only have one. So for me, I would be, and if I have one. It's tough because I see pros and cons for both. So for me, I would rather contender her right now, or I lock Charles on both.
Yeah, you've swayed me a bit to contendership actually. Unless Kirkland has a great moveset counter argument here.
Diamond.
Diamonds,
I do think are a good addition.
Punches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it in me right now. Too.
Okay, we'll come back. Actually, so we'll bring this up here. So I mentioned Magma, of course, and then Sunfire in the second game, Pyro in the second game. There's a lot of fire-based characters. I think you could have one fire-based character because that's fun for the moveset and stuff. And I guess if we're considering a Dark Phoenix, maybe we'd go that way. And then there was another fire character I was thinking of that wasn't in one of those games.
Did you mention Pyro?
Yeah,
He did,
Pyro
yeah.
is in the second
Okay.
one. I guess Sunspot, like, is he fire kind of? Is he kind of like a fire sort of dude as well?
The only
Power of the
reason
Sun.
isn't he? He's in '97, right? He's the one we keep talking about.
Very
I forget if it's
briefly, isn't he?
Sunfire or Sunspot. Those are
mean,
different characters, right?
Whichever sun it
Sunspot.
is it Sunspot? As I feel like he is. I feel like I'm a Pyro guy, but if you were looking at characters, I feel like in this age maybe they're gonna give him a little bit of a run. I feel like Sunspot would be the fire guy. He actually looks kind of cool when you look at some stuff when he gets. If you look at him and then when he turns into fire, it's not just him. Like he becomes like dark and molten and stuff. Not the Days of Future Past one. He's not as cool. But if you look at the comic, if you just put an X-Men '97 Sunspot, he looks cool when he transforms. So I think that would actually be a really cool outfit or different outfits or whatever the second one. So I would be in the Sunspot camp for the sorry, I got the hiccups for the fire guy one. Not saying we can't have more, but I feel like if we're getting one,
I think we should.
Sunspot.
I think we should do one and one alone.
'Kay.
Like if any of them were more iconic characters, yes. But I think for the power element
Yeah.
of it, we got to have one
Yeah.
of them. But I don't really think there's room for more than one. Just with a 36 cap on here.
Yeah, I'm team Sunspot.
Like maybe
then.
there's like a costume where you can look like the other ones and they can just share a
Yeah.
moveset or something. But that's kind of where I'm at.
I vote Sunspot just because it's new and unique, and I like his look for sure, and just the ability to absorb and channel solar power. Like, is that not so similar to Scott Summers with his like? Isn't that how he
Kinda,
gets
yeah.
his laser beam?
Yeah, and he kind of has like a Mr. Negative thing going on too in some
Yeah.
of these photos. So
Cool
I
look.
like that. So yeah.
He's very meta card in Marvel Snap as well. So
Oh,
that's
is he?
good.
Okay.
That's good. Good one. Okay, we'll do Sunspot then. Do you want me to put any of the other fire characters that I mentioned in contenders or on the fringe? Any ones that you
Not
want to think
Magma.
about? Definitely not Magma. I think we can
No.
draw.
If-
I'll write Pyro down.
Yeah, sure.
If anyone, it would be Pyro for me, just because it's like the most classic fire
Yeah.
guy. I feel.
But that just comes in the slot too when it's like I guarantee they'd be like, okay, we can only do 5 villains. I'd be like, would I want Pyro to be one of them? No, I definitely wouldn't. You know, so we can leave him there for contenders, but he's more so at the bottom for me for contenders.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then let's see. What have I? Psylocke. What do you guys feel about Psylocke? So was it playable in the first X-Men Legends, and then in Ultimate Alliance 2 and 3. I think she's cool. I love her powers. I love her look. I think she's probably a lock for me, but I'd be okay with a contender for now.
She would be a lock for me. I played her quite a bit actually in Ultimate Alliance 3. And just I don't know, really cool look with just agile ninja type character, and I feel like we don't have too many light attack characters, I guess, as well as ones that are focused on like a DPS aspect, and for those reasons I'd lock her. And my background, it's very Psylocke-y right now.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
Absolute lock for me. One, just because I feel like versus the Mystique thing where it's like, oh, that's more combat character. This is the combat with the power. So you have the sword, the growing, there's lots of daggers you could throw at stuff. And just for like, I still kind of go for not just business, but like what would people want? The 90s kids love Psylocke. Like that's when she got a big push. I just feel like people, whether it's for coolness or for other reasons of young males growing up, like there's lots of things with Psylocke, but I just feel like people see Psylocke and they go, oh, what a cool character. So I feel like she, to me, is an insta lock. And I'm kind of surprised that she's not been in almost more of these games. It's like not generic, but like she's a fighting character, so very more easy moveset. You just add some big knives on those fists and you're good to go, you know?
Very much so.
Big knives.
Big knives.
Next up, Bishop. I like character importance wise, I want him to be there, but is his moveset not just like he has an assault rifle? Like what is his powers?
But that's Cable too. So
I picture Cable similar to Bishop, but Cable way cooler. So that would be my vote.
Cable has
Splitting
like
there.
little time travel-y things. He has like more electronic things. He has like grenades and stuff. I feel like Bishop's just a bit
He's just got
basic
that
for me.
music, got that classic
He's
music.
got that
every time
music.
he moves around.
But he also has a big gun that like he's known for, like it charges up. They even talk about like it's in Days of Futures Past. Like he had to make sure he had that gun. Like I'm in the same camp as Emma and Xavier, where I think it's like a both or not, because I feel there's lots of people that prefer Bishop to Cable. So that's where it's like, what's the argument for Cable over Bishop other than just like he's cooler? So I'm fine to put him in contenders, but I'm with them both because I also feel like story aspect wise, they would be linked together. Like they were both in Marvel Alliance 2 together. I just feel like that's what would happen if one was in the game, the other one would not be that far behind. Like all the stuff you talked about, the time deflection, everything, you can literally just put those same cable moves on the Bishop and they're the same, right? So that's the thing where they are similar guys, but it's the look and the vibe. So
I think
Was
you could
Bishop
have.
an Ultimate Alliance?
was what?
You said Bishop was an Ultimate Alliance?
I think he's on Ultimate Alliance 2. I'm pretty sure. I think he was part of the Civil War story because I think that's the big thing is they come there together.
Right, but I don't think he's not a playable character though.
No, I think he is. I go Bishop.
I would love to be proven one way or the other on that. I didn't see him in when I was going through
You
my
could
list.
be right maybe about that. Let's see.
And you know what? If they didn't put him in there, but they put Cable in there, what does that say about the relative? I pull in like because I was playing Cable yesterday in Ultimate Alliance 3, and he has a really interesting moveset. So that's where he's a bit more, I guess, top of mind in terms of having an interesting moveset for me.
Oh, you could be right if he's.
I think you could have Bishop in the game too, and just not make him
Bishop
playable if
absolutely
it
in the
is
game.
tied to
Absolutely.
Cable's story. Also, have we already locked Cable? Isn't he already in there? So
Cable's
Travis
locked.
says 2 or
I mean,
none.
I guess he.
Arguments
Okay,
about
so
that.
my bad. He was a boss battle, I guess.
There
But
you go.
see, now in reverse, I'd be like, flip him, give Bishop his chance. You know, Cable's got a chance already, but I'm
Bishop
fine.
was playable in X-Men Legends too. That's where
Yeah.
he's been playable.
Okay. I won't down the hill.
What was I was gonna say? But along with that, I was just thinking about X-Men animated series. Like Forge, I feel like Forge is in this game too, but he's not like a playable character. Like,
No.
he's in there as like an NPC type, and that's where I feel like Bishop could be used for some story purpose, but I don't necessarily need to play as him.
I was gonna pitch Forge actually. I feel like as a support role could be very interesting, like Buffy and his allies, like giving them just like I know he's not a blacksmith, but like something along those lines could be really interesting.
Put Forge in there, but not Xavier. This is ridiculous.
Hey, I was gonna pitch
right
it. I was
now.
gonna pitch it. I'm not saying I'm gonna die on that hill or anything, but just an interesting character that would be like a very different moveset, I think.
Yeah.
But like a strict support type character. But that's okay.
I like the idea. But not sold on it yet. Moving on, Juggernaut has been in a couple of these games. Once again, I want him in there, but I think I'd maybe put him in contenders for now, just until we talk about some more.
How
Travis,
many
we're
tanks
already
do
at-
we have
Travis,
in there?
We're already at 19 of 36.
Yeah, but we're getting the big time X-Men. How many tank people of
But,
that
like,
size? We said no to Sabretooth. We got Beast, and who else? Like
The thing
Juggernaut.
with Juggernaut though is like if he isn't like one of the hardest characters to kill, I feel like it's not truly Juggernaut. So for that reason, I just see him as like a big boss battle.
But did you not feel like that with Thanos or Doctor Doom when you could unlock them in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3? Like, you shouldn't be able to kill Thanos, but you can.
But like
once you
Juggernaut's
unlock
just gonna
them.
run through and just like kill everyone. Like
That's one of his
moveset?
powers up. It is that. It literally like you get a buff on it, of course, and like mana. But that is one where you run through. Like to me, he's fun. It's like the equivalent. If you have Avengers and you have the Hulk, that's what he's the equivalent of. Like, yeah, Beast can be a tank, but he's not a tank. When Spider-Man, you get Venom. There's no big tank character we have yet, and that's discarding villains because we haven't talked about villains yet. Because I know there's like the big egg will probably be in there, but still, I just feel like Juggernaut to me, he's been in Legends, he's been in Ultimate Alliance. I feel like that would be apt for him to be in this game, and he's Charles' brother, you know. To get Charles in there, do those combo moves.
Just get armor in there if you want a tank. And
Ooh, armor. I like that pick.
Get Bonebreaker as well too, you know.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Travis. I'm leaning towards like wanting him in, but I can't lock it right off the bat.
Oh.
X on the Juggernaut.
He's going in.
I'm
he's
the
going in
Juggernaut,
contenders.
bitch.
Like Kirkland's gonna in 2 minutes pitch another big giant character. Like, what about this guy? You know.
What about Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Toad. I think Toad would be fun for the moveset, but I just don't think there's room for him this time around. Is my perspective on that one. Any thoughts on Toad?
No, I don't think so.
He was on my later list just to
I'll put him in the
if we
fringe.
needed a name.
He could be the first character in the fringe category.
What about Angel?
Yes, absolutely.
You can have Archangel. Like
yeah, Angel's on my list. I just feel like the costumes, the wing powers you have in these games where it's either the flying or like the webbing, you have those characters that the whole triangle and they go up a little. Like to me, Angel, because I don't think he's been in any of these games, that would be a must. I'm kind of surprised because he's been in many iterations of popular X-Men. He's very popular when you make him the Horseman version, and you got to have that costume in the game. So to me, Angel is that would have been an insta-lock for me.
The only thing holding me back on it is, I imagine his his moveset rather would be rather similar to Falcon's in Ultimate Alliance 3, and he's not one of my favorites.
But we don't have anyone like that yet on our roster,
and we could refine him.
You're true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
This could be the time.
You guys are both on the lock tier for him, it sounds like.
I'm locked.
Yeah, I think that you're right, Dylan, that could be the character. You go, oh man, he ended up sucking. But I just feel like even just look-wise... Like,
those costumes that you would have, as you said, the Horseman version.
Yeah, I definitely want the Archangel costume in there.
Let's be honest, that's not half, but that's at least 25% of why we love those games is, what are the bonus costumes?
Yeah.
Right? Think about Ultimate Alliance 1 having 4. You put Angel in there just so you can have the Apocalypse costume, stuff like just so you can get those outfits. So absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and then just finishing up the X-Men Legends 2 roster, Cannonball, I mean, fuck Cannonball. After the show, I don't want him in here.
No Cannonball.
Sorry to the Cannonball fans.
No Cannonball.
X-Men, we talked about him, but I don't think he's going to make it here. And then we've talked about all these except for Iron Man. Iron Man's not going to make it in our...
Oh, he's locked for me. I think he's...
No.
So there you go. We've gone through the roster of the first 2 games. So, Travis, who do you got as your next pitch here? And if you want to set this pitch up, you can set up with like a storyline or a level or like a villain or how they integrate. You can set up however you want.
It wasn't a pitch as far as I don't even know. This is more a throw because not the one that I would want, but just because she's gone more popular these past few years. And if you didn't, because to me it's my argument against Mystique, but like I thought about someone like Domino. Would that be someone that would be? Because I feel like they would, if they're doing like an alliance game, you probably would have multiple like Mystique. And again, this isn't even a pitch for me saying, "Oh, I would lock her." I'm throwing out there like, what do you guys think about Domino? And how do you do the luck powers even? You know,
I know. I was thinking about pitching her. You could do something like just certain attacks, like a percentage, just miss her or something. Like you could definitely play with that luck stat in like a dodge sense, or maybe just more
Critical
gold
hits.
or something. Critical hits, yeah. There's
that'd
many
be
different
fun.
aspects that you could do. But at the end of the day, she would very much fit into that mercenary play style where you just have like guns and grenades and stuff, which is fine. Like I think it's definitely fine to have a character like that on this roster. We were pretty hesitant to get Deadpool on there, but because she is very unique, and I feel like if they do really hit with that luck stat, I think that could make the character like one of the best characters in the game. But it's tricky to make that balanced as well as unique.
Yeah, for me, I think I'd prefer Mystique in that slot in my opinion, of like the female kind of like femme fatale, like assassin type character, like the Black Widow pick from Ultimate Alliance, something like that. I think I'd prefer to have Mystique in there for the relevance of the character and that she hasn't been in one of these before. I mean, Domino's never been in them before either. I think if I maybe had more perspective of Domino other than just like what she's like in Deadpool 2. But yeah, I think there is some cool ideas there for turning her luck into like that is a very video gamey type of thing, and you could make that happen. But yeah, she's definitely not a lock for me. She would be a contender though, I think.
Okay. I'm the same.
Okay.
I got another pitch.
Go for it.
What about another tank character? Someone that was incredibly OP in Marvel Snap recently. We got the Blob. Pure tank.
See, he did it. He literally did it. His first pick, he said no to Juggernaut, and his first pick is a villain
It's a
and
more
a
unique
tank.
Juggernaut. I don't think it's like when I think of a main boss battle, I'm not thinking of the Blob. I'm thinking of someone like the Juggernaut. I don't know. I don't know why my brain works that way, but it just seems like a totally different category. But I don't know. Maybe Dylan is impartial.
I think Blob could have a fun moveset. I think for me, he has like the Ridley and Smash Bros problem where I think he's too big to fit in like the realm of like how big these characters should be relative to each other, and in these games, some characters are like naturally bigger than others. Blob, I think, has to be massive, and I think if you shrink them down to be on that little like circle that your player selector thing is on, I don't think it would work. And for me, he'd be a very fun boss fight where he's bouncing shots off, he's flinging you back, he's rolling around. Like, he makes a perfect boss fight, and I definitely want him in the game. But I think I'd much prefer Juggernaut if we're looking at those two as like comparable kind of power types.
There you go.
Travis, you are just
no Blob.
Strongly against?
No Blob. No. If Juggernaut's gonna no Blob. I can see the pitch
Both
of
or none
okay,
of them,
Mystique.
Travis? Make that deal?
No. I can see the pitch of okay, Mystique versus Domino, but like Blob versus Juggernaut. No. I just Juggernaut I think Blob's like good for a Lego one, I think. For this one, no, I need Juggy in there. So
what do you guys think about this character? Has been more relevant recently. Probably would have been a deep cut before Deadpool, but Negasonic, Teenage Warhead. Exploding type character.
Yeah. I just wonder is there enough to make that character interesting in the sense of playing as at all time? And I feel like there's two versions of a yes and a version of not at all. So I'm mixed on that one.
I'm gonna give it a lock. Not like a super hard, solid lock, but I feel like I would pass it. I feel like I would pass it right here, just because the explosive aspect. Like, we do have characters with blast or range attacks, but I feel like hers would be a lot more like, it feels like a close proximity explosion sort of thing, and like maybe just she could have. I feel like I can picture some really wonderful combos with her attacks too, like a couple lights into like a big heavy like explosion that has a larger range, and it's just a character that really hasn't been in anything like too much other than, at least for me, like Deadpool. So I feel like I would love to see her inclusion into there. You got a fresh face as well as some cool moves that I don't think too many characters really replicate, even though we do have range and other blasters. I feel like hers is different.
Yeah, like I think her moveset would be quite different from the Sunspot character, for example, in terms of like the fire
Summers,
type.
for example, like another different range.
She could have like an attack where she like jumps in the air and like crashes into the ground, like shoots out a bunch of debris. She could have like one where she like rams into people and kind of explodes on the spot. Her fists could be like little explosions or something. So I think it could make for a fun moveset. So it sounds like between the three of us, she'd probably sit as a contender right now. But I think it'd be a fun pick, especially post Deadpool. She's a cool card in Marvel Snap too, so shout outs to that. Travis, you got another one you want to pitch here?
You said you want some kooky characters. I feel like let's throw in Dazzler, a character whose powers are they can sing. I feel like that could be lots of fun. That would be a character that would get announced, like, oh, really, Dazzler? But then it would be like a low key, like, oh, actually, she's pretty fun. Like all the attacks are you can just do the singing and stuff. So that sits it right there. I think her fun special attacks be good, combo attacks, outfits. So I feel like Dazzler would be a low key favorite character. So
yeah,
and I think it's just like if we're looking for new blood in there, hopefully Taylor Swift was playing her in the movie. That could help get that profile
voicing her
up.
in the game too.
Yeah, voicing her in the game, of course. Paying that's the
original
budget,
music.
But, yeah, but no, I just think we're talking about because like something like Toad's like, yeah, that could be a fun kooky character. He's been in it. I know he's on the bench, but I was trying to think of other ones, and to me, Dazzler, that's one where I feel like, okay, you could have some fun with that, and that would be one where it's like when we talk, oh, there's like Bishop and Cable and Blob and Juggernaut. It's like Dazzler's Dazzler. Of course, it's going to be similar to like Mind Projectile stuff, but the design of that character, you're not going to have like, oh, here's the other singing character. So, yeah, again, could also have the opportunity just to suck ass, but I would want to see them try. So Dazzler would be my next pitch.
I would definitely back Dazzler. I feel like for me to picture her play style, it would be a very heavy support character. I don't really know how she works in the comics like we just saw her hooking up with Scott in the animated series, so kind of limited in her powers there. But playing MOBAs, especially something like League of Legends, there's like multiple support characters that are literally just singers. They just boost their team, and I just definitely have seen that translate well. And like great stuns like CC on other characters, like with you said, with just her singing just enthralls people to like I don't know what Dazzler does, but that's just what I'm picturing. So for that reason, I would definitely back her.
Yeah, I mean my favorite character in Ultimate Alliance 2 is the Great Songbird, and I feel I think this is a very similar type of moveset. So I think this would be very fun, and I'm absolutely down on the lock train for that. So it sounds like Dazzler
I'm a lock,
officially making it in, so congratulations to Dazzler.
Good job, Dazzler.
Where do we want to go next? How about, okay, here's a pitch for you guys. I don't know how this is going to go, but I was looking through some of the locations and levels from the first 2 X-Men Legends games. So of course there's like, you got the Morlock tunnels, you got Muir Island, you got Asteroid M, Astral Plane, some of these types of areas. But you know where we've never been before? Is the Savage Land.
You're going somewhere else.
I desperately want to level in the Savage Land, and if you're going to go there, you need at least one character playable from that zone. Ooh. So I kind of have two pitches here. One is Sauron.
I knew you were going Sauron.
The green fucking pterodactyl guy. Or I was thinking Khazar and Zabu would be a really fun, kind of how Groot and Rocket are a combined character in Ultimate Alliance 3. I think it'd be the same thing where you have Khazar and he would like send out Zabu as like to go attack people or something, or he could ride on Zabu as well. I think it'd be a fun combo character. So what do you guys think about those 2 picks?
Hell yeah for Khazar and Sabu, whatever. I always fuck up his name. And then not a chance for Sauron. I feel like that's a fun boss battle.
Can he be a boss fight then? Are you okay with
Yeah, no, for sure he'd be a boss battle. I think that'd be cool. Like he's flying, you gotta time your attacks, but no, I just don't. I don't think there's enough, especially because half his stuff is like he's mind controlling, and no, I think he's a good boss battle. So no for him, yes for the other. The other would be a lot because that fits in more too. If anyone wants some more brawler characters, you can kind of fit that in a little bit too. So.
I'm a hard lock on Khazar and Zabu. Nice. I like what you pitched there. Very, like, I feel like, I don't want to say forgotten character, but like probably for the mainstream people.
For sure.
But especially just the dual character combo is always fun and interesting. Something very unique from other characters. It makes someone like Khazar, who's just a dude that's jacked and like wears a loincloth, so much more interesting by having.
And you can give him like a spear, you can give him some weapons and stuff too.
With Sauron, I feel like I could definitely see it inclusion in the game. If anything, it would probably be a late 30s pick. So like 35, 36th character on the roster. That's just where I picture his little image on my screen I'm visualizing. Because it's similar to, what is it, Ripley from Smash? Like that's Ridley. Sorry. So I feel like I could see it played in it's just a beat 'em up game, especially if you have like the stun effect. Like I definitely see it being playable, but I don't know. It's more so a villain, I think, right now for me, visualizing that.
That's fair. I'll accept that. And you guys remember Garrock or whatever his name was, the giant rock guy from X-Men Animated? He could be another good boss fight. Not one of our favorite episodes or characters, but I think he'd be a fun boss fight in one of these types of games.
Yeah.
Who's got another one here?
I was thinking about, I don't really know exactly the moveset, but I think it would be another character that's just very different from everyone else, is someone like Multiple Man. Maybe you have like just different clones of yourself, like when you do attacks, like they basically mimic what you're doing, and then they can die like really easily by other characters, but it's kind of tanking them for you too. I don't know how many multiple versions of yourself you can make. I think you could also do it smaller scale of, I don't know, like you just have one version of yourself that you can kind of combo a move with or something like that. But I would love to see that implemented, but it's just so tricky with how many, like what's the limitations on how many versions you can have or how clones work.
On a Nintendo Switch, probably like 3, but on an Xbox or PlayStation, like 100.
Like an RTS game, essentially. Just turns into the Zerg.
That'd be great. You just pick Multiple Man. Who's your clan? Multiple Man. That one's a lock for me because I would want... Just because I'd want to be like the Quicksilver thing of like, hey, show me what you got. Like, let's see if this can work. And if it doesn't, then we know. But I think if you make it work, could be very cool. Maybe those multiple men just bust out as shields. You can use them for the finish. It could just be stuff like when you go to punch, you get like multiple like hands coming out and stuff. So that for me is a lock just for the versatility of it. I don't think it would ever happen, but for me, of what I would want to see, yes.
I really like the pick too. I think it's fun, and I'm also struggling to picture the moveset exactly, but I think to some extent that is a good thing for a game like this, right? And it's good to not have such an obvious moveset and instead to see what kind of crazy creative stuff they come up with. I would want to maybe put him in contender right now for me personally. Okay. So, Kirklin, you pitched him, but you sounded maybe more on so. So if you're feeling towards the lock side, then we might as well just lock them. So, what do you think?
Again, it comes down to the picturing of the powers. I think for right now, so I'm a-okay with just putting them on the bench right now in the contender slot. Just I don't know. I just feel like there might be some other ones that pop up, and I feel a lot stronger with the locks.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Travis, you got another one?
The only, like I said, I don't know if we want to transition or not, but the only three that I have left are pure villains. So this one's going to be a wild pick. I think it'll get shot down, but it's a classic X-Men villain. You'd have to do almost like what Dylan said with the Blob, but you know what? They got Iron Man in there. Throw a Sentinel in there. Now, there have to be some storyline where it's like, oh, it's a mini-human one, da-da-da-da. But I just feel like the Sentinels are never in a position where you can play as them. They are such a key thing to the X-Men. So maybe they find one, they reroute it. And again, does someone want to play like that in X-Men? I don't know. And I don't even know if I'm a strong lock on it. And it's not one where I have to see. But I think there could be something fun if you could give it even the height of like a Venom or Hulk and have it as a bigger, tankier character and some sort of, because at first I thought Master Mold, but I thought no, too big. Master Mold, yeah, he's got to be big. So that was my pitch, and like that's why I'd wonder too if they'd ever go back to the old games. But like I said, like they did Iron Man. It's like, oh well, it's an Iron Man equivalent character in there. Yeah. So that's my kind of last off the wall pick I have too. So
I like weird picks, and so I like that you're coming up with some freaky ones here. And I didn't think about it. I didn't even write it on my list, and I wrote tons and tons of characters.
They always get forgotten.
But I like it. The more I think about it, the more I kind of want to see it. And yeah, it might be weird to have like a mini Sentinel, because especially once again, just playing X-Men or Ultimate Alliance 3 yesterday, like the Sentinels are freaking huge in that game that you battle, and there's even like a bigger one, a massive one, you know. But I think they're a freaking robot. They're made in a lab, so you can just make a smaller one. Like it's more believable than like a small blob to me. So
maybe that's their finish. They get big, and you just see a big foot come in and stomp an enemy area, and then he goes back to his small size or something. You know?
Yeah, that could be like a really fun part of the moveset where there's like an endless part to where you could just send one in as like a suicide bomber essentially, and then you just like get a new one that spawns in for you.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Or they could be like modulating their arms in some ways to get different attachments and stuff.
And you can have all the characters be like, oh, I can't believe we're teaming with this set. You know, like you could have all those like hating on this one thing, and
like one of Wolverine's power moves could be just like sniping one of their heads off and like using it as like a basketball, like smash some opponent from afar. I think that could be really fun.
I was super hard against it until you guys started talking about the movesets and stuff, and I think that's really fun. I do want to try it because it reminds me, there was a Dragon Ball Z game that had the Cybermen in them, which were basically just like little alien creatures that would just like die, and then you would just get like a shit ton of them. Like that would be like the difference from the main characters, that like the strength in numbers is more so, but like how do you implement that in just a single unit? And I feel like what you said, Dylan, of like just the suicide bomber that goes in and then executes, and then you just spawn another one in or whatever it is. So I think I'm with you guys. I think I like how different it is. I like how I switched completely 180. Because as soon as Travis was pitching it, when you're like still talking, I'm like, as soon as he stops talking, I'm just gonna shoot him down. There's no way. But you won me over, so good job.
It'd be fun, you know? And it'd be a pick no one would be expecting, and it would be that pick that everyone would be pissed about. But then hopefully it's good. Be like, okay, it was worth.
That would definitely be like a late game, like secret unlock too.
Yeah,
like you have to do some crazy weird challenge level to
beat the game in under 3 hours.
I've always loved Havoc as a character, or at least his powers. I think are just cool and fun, and I think they would make for a pretty solid X-Men roster. I think he has a really cool look too, so I just like to see his different costumes and whatnot. I don't really know anything about the guy in terms of character, personality, story.
Cyclops' brother, you know.
Well, there you go. That's an in right there. But yeah, I think Havoc is really interesting. Now maybe he is, now that you mentioned Cyclops, maybe he's a little too similar to that kind of moveset in terms of shooting beams out.
Yeah.
But I think he's got a distinct, different sort of look. How do you guys feel about Havoc?
He does in the powers. I'm right now on a contender. I'm not an insta-lock, but I'm not instant shoot away. I think you just have to find a way to make sure it is different than claws. But the good thing is, like, he's always shooting it from his body, and you can do different projectiles and stuff. So I'm a contender on him. That's where I am, middle ground.
I'd be contender as well right now.
Okay.
I could be swayed, but not yet.
Yeah, I got to see the lineup. That's now the question now. Like, okay, who's he up against? Because if there's characters that have different powers, that's where I might lean to. I might want this type of character where Cyclops, you could just incorporate some of Havoc's moves there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're right now at 23 characters locked, and then we
Okay.
have 15 in the contenders
Okay.
category. So we have a good amount, but yeah, let's get the rest of them in there that are contenders and whatnot. So what else you got, Kirklin?
What was our decision on X-23, Laura?
She's a contender right now.
Okay. I was just thinking of some more Logan sort of centered
Mhm.
characters. I
Don't
feel
say
like
the D
because
word.
he's such a main character of the roster, you could definitely have like a good chapter of the game. Not like the whole game, but like just a chapter like level focusing on more of his something related to him. So a character. So I'm gonna pitch two here. I feel like one could get shot down really just really quickly. Maybe it's similar to Travis's aspect, but really cool look. Always gets done dirty in every single version that I've seen this character in. But I would love to just see them on the roster because it looks very different. I'm gonna pitch Silver Samurai.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
It is a
Oh.
villain. I understand that,
That's
but
fine.
like just very. I feel like the samurai look is just so appealing, especially when you just silver them up. You can make those colors contrast just really pop on a game where you just have a bunch of different characters fighting. I feel like it would stand out really well. Obviously, the sword speaks for itself, but you could also like what other powers does he have? You can kind of like go invisible or like disappear, right? Like that
Yeah,
happened a
I think
couple
he has
times.
Not regen powers, but something similar with his suit that he's absorbing things, and he has one of those where it's like 15 different powers of all variations of stuff. So
Probably high stamina, like
Yeah.
classic.
What was the second one, Kirklin?
Second one I have is Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Very specific, like her look from the animated series. I think it looked so different, even though she has like adamantium claws. She just seems so different than a character like Logan or even Laura, because of that look. Again, like it would be, I guess she is a villain as well, but like it would be tied to kind of that chapter. Maybe that's where you unlock her. But center around Logan and just that aspect. But yeah, I don't know. She's kind of snubbed when it comes to other games. Like she's never made an appearance to my knowledge, but it seems like a good DPS female character, femme fatale.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the pick. I would go Deathstrike over Samurai for me personally, but I also think I'd go X-23 and Sabretooth before her, and those are
Okay.
contenders right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if we have enough room for all these characters,
That's
but
fair.
definitely as a boss fight for her. Samurai, I just don't think there's room for, but I think it would be fun to have him in there as well.
Fair enough.
I'm the other way around. A lock on Samurai. I'd push Deathstrike to the side just
Whoa.
because the other two. Just because Silver Samurai again would be, I think, similar to Sentinels, where it's just would be Dazzler, like a very distinct character. You could almost make him tanky. Look, he also has a teleportation ring, so you can tap
There
into
you
some of
go.
those Nightcrawler things. So I guess for me, because there's a lot of X-Men villains, but as I was making this list, like I know he might come up, but I'll just say him here. Like Mr. Sinister for me is not someone I'd want because like for me, he's not like a fighting character. And the X-Men have like a lot of those type of villains like Sebastian Shaw or like Cassandra Nova, like Xavier's sister has teleportation or telekinesis. It's like they have a lot of great villains, or like Mojo, right? Where it's like he's great, but like I couldn't see him. Where Silver Samurai is one of the few villains I could see. I could see Lady Deathstrike, but I'm like Dylan, where I'd prefer Sabretooth or I'd prefer X-23, where Silver Samurai would be unique and it would be a villain that's actually a fighter. So that's where I am on that one. So I'm not sure if that makes him contender, but I would be down for Silver Samurai.
Right.
Probably just put them all on the contender list right now. I feel like since you first pitched them as well, someone like Sabretooth has actually grown up a lot on
He's
me.
grown up.
He's grown
a big
up
boy.
on my list of higher contenders, just because it is a very iconic character. And although I said like kind of reminds me of just a similar brawler, I think there's nothing wrong with that, and he definitely could play. He could probably be beefier and like chunkier than someone like Logan. Maybe not as nimble, but hit harder. I know we were kind of talking about the other characters, but just trying to spit out where my priorities and focus are on some of these characters that we talked about already.
Yeah. Travis, I think you had one more. You said
I guess two, but did we put contender for Omega Red? Because that was just one of the two. So
we
I feel
haven't even
like
mentioned it yet. So
okay, for me it's like
if we just lock them, I think we're all lock on Omega.
I'm
Red.
a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say if Dylan said this is our dream game, then Omega Red. Those tentacles, the look, everything, a lock. And like even if he was DLC, you could do a Weapon X pack, right? Like a Weapon X DLC where you get him, Sabretooth, Laura, whoever, right? The other one I think is the obvious one that I think would be a lock, but maybe I'm wrong. It's the Thanos of the X-Men Apocalypse. I feel like everybody would be just the same way. All the build up to Ultimate Alliance 3, we were like, man, I just hope they make Thanos playable. I think Apocalypse would have that same uproar from the crowd of like, oh, this could be our chance to play as Apocalypse. So, and the good thing with him getting different sizes, he can be down to the size of the X-Men. So I feel like lots of big power sets. He's another tank character. He has other just like projectiles and stuff. I think like, just think Thanos in MUA 3. That's what I'd want Apocalypse here. So that's my last one. But for me, I think he's insta-lock.
You got to put him in there. I think you got to.
I think you got to put him in there as well. And you would really have to deliver with how Thanos or Magneto or Doom felt like in Ultimate Alliance. Like how they felt just so powerful. I feel like you really have to deliver with a character like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think him enhancing your other characters' powers too. Like not only does he have a strong moveset, but if you have him in your group before,
Horseman effect.
It gives everyone a new ability. That might be too much to ask, but even just like boosted stats, like
imagine?
additional effects.
That's his ultimate.
Stuff.
Just changes like an Apocalypse version, like a Horseman version of all these characters.
So cool. Yeah.
I don't know if you could do it because if you had 36, but I wouldn't see it out of the realm of possibility if you had Apocalypse in the game as a villain. If everyone had like a variant skin Apocalypse Horseman color, right? Like you don't got to go full on like the way Angel has a big makeover. You don't got to do that, but you could easily make every character have some minor costume like that, you know?
Or even for like a handful of them, and then like whenever you unlock him in some specific mission, like you have a set roster of characters that all kind of get enhanced in that moment, so it kind of shows it off in some way.
Think about what random costumes though Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 had near the end, Dylan, when we were doing like the Infinity rounds or whatever they called were, where you would go like fight people, and they didn't have. You can customize the color, right? Was there something like that, or
no? In Ultimate Alliance 3, like each character had one separate costume, and then they had a separate color swap for their like, default costume and their second one. But you couldn't change the custom color. It was just one. It was like if they did that, why didn't they just have like 10 for each if they were just going to be a color change?
But they could even do that where there's an Apocalypse color, right? And you throw on that boost, and then everyone gets that black and purple, the blue and purple, and then boom, your Apocalypse Horseman Knight. You know, so yeah.
Cool. Sorry, Kirklin, you agreed with the lock on Apocalypse, yeah?
Oh yeah, definitely lock him in there.
Kirklin, did you have any others on your list here?
I
think mine are mostly just quick fire, and then I have a couple that I might pitch at this point.
I had a couple that I thought were probably weak, but I wanted to mention them. You know, this is our dream roster. We're Canadian. I was thinking about the leader of Alpha Flight. We got Guardian in there with the great Maple Leaf. His powers are pretty meek. They just come from his suit, from what I was looking up. You know, enhanced speed, enhanced strength.
They do the Alpha Flight DLC, lowest selling DLC of all time. You know?
The look is just it's so great that I wanted to mention.
It'd be fun to battle them. I thought about Alpha Flight, and I was like, I'd rather have Polaris because I think she's cool, or Sasquatch. Like I prefer one of those two.
Or Puck.
I don't even think Sasquatch is like, for people like we've put on the roster. I think Sasquatch could have a chance if it was a real game and they were getting broad to have another beefy character, but he's the only one I think that would make it, and I think it's the only one that I'd be getting to. So
yeah.
The other one that I was thinking of is someone like Cloak. I think it was the character. Was that the one that was in the Morlocks where they could like teleport. Like I can't remember.
Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, they can teleport. Yeah.
But were they the
Don't-
Morlocks?
I don't think that's the same character though,
Okay.
right?
I was thinking of a character that can like teleport people. I know Cloak can do that.
Well,
just
Cloak can
from
do that, yeah,
Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I don't think it's this exact same one, but yeah, there's
Okay.
Cloak and Dagger, and then yeah.
I was trying to think of a character like that. Like we do have a lot of teleporters already, so it kind of sunk to the bottom of my list. But it was still someone I was wanting to mention.
I'll bring this up then. I have another teleporter.
Okay.
This is a character I only know from one film, but I thought she was so fucking cool. In Days of Future Past is Blink.
Ooh.
I don't even know what her powers are. I think she's just teleporter. Like
Yeah.
she opens the portals, but I always thought she had like the coolest look. Definitely wanted her to come back at some point. She's not come back. She only had like that small role. Never seen her in any other game or anything ever. But I think Blink is super cool. So I don't know. She could make sense as like a story one of like explaining how you get to and from certain locations. But if it was my personal 36, she would make my 36.
Yeah, I don't think so for me. I just don't know what you could do with her. Like that'd be tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think like her main thing too is like too similar to some other powers that we have for characters. Obviously, it's the Bamfine from Nightcrawler, and then like if we were gonna do, well, we have magic on the list, but like similar type of teleportation
Yeah.
effect might be too similar there. But
Mm-hmm.
good shout out because I completely forgot about that character actually, and I thought she was really cool in Days of Future Past as well.
Definitely forgettable. Yeah. Kirklin, sorry, did you have any other last shout outs?
No, I think we got all the
Okay.
main ones. Yeah.
I think. Okay, here's my like super super deep cut. I can't even remember his name from X-Men Animated. It was in that sequence when Cyclops is like flying his plane. He's like on his own and he like crashes in like the desert randomly. And you remember he like goes in that society of random people. And there's like the beaver guy or something that shoots him down.
That's right.
You guys remember that episode?
Oh yeah.
There was a one guy in that episode who was
Yes.
like a rock dude, and he had like a little mini rock dude, and he would like throw
yeah.
the little rock dude out. And
God.
like, I want that freaking guy. I could not find his name by Googling all sorts of crazy stuff, but I love that guy. He was so cool.
I can't give you that one.
I don't even know his name, so
But I'm
it's
happy
Nameless
you-
rock.
full pitch.
Yeah.
I wrote Rockback guy.
I'm
in my
happy.
list there.
Yeah. Maybe what the fuck is Taika Waititi's name?
Meek.
You know,
Me-
no. What's the
Oh
other
no, that's the
guy?
other one. Korg.
Korg. Maybe you'll go get Korg in Ultimate Alliance 4 and be similar to that.
Yeah, that's okay. Deadpool 2 Shatterstar is that one guy who's coming up in
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine, or Zeitgeist is Bill Skarsgård's character. What do you guys think about them?
I'd say no to both. Shatterstar could have a maybe chance, but I'd say no to both of those guys. Maybe
Zeitgeist is kind of similar to
translucent.
Toad, right?
Yeah,
in terms of
it
powers.
throws up stuff. Yeah, I'd say maybe translucent. That could be fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt. You know,
Brad Pitt, yeah, Mr. Invisible or Vanisher. That's
Vanisher. That's what it is. Yeah.
I was thinking about the cosmic realm, but I didn't love that area of the X-Men animated so much, but like a
I agree.
Lalandra or
No.
a Corsair. I think if anyone, Lalandra would be interesting, but I don't think I need her.
No
in
one's
there.
picking Corsair. No one's
Yeah.
picking. Even Scott's not picking Corsair.
Two of the Morlocks that I really loved in the show were, I didn't even know this was her name. Tommy is her name. She was like that paper thin girl that would like. She had like the interesting like white, pink,
Yeah.
and like yellow sort of color, and she could like turn 2-dimensional essentially. Like that could be an interesting moveset. I thought she'd be cool. Or I think his name is Mask. I was trying to find this, but he's like the guy who would like transform into like a giant donut or transform into all these like random shapes. You remember that guy who would always be in the Morlocks episode?
Yeah, you loved that guy.
Yeah, they were very fun. They were very fun, but don't even know their names for certain, so I'm not gonna shout them out. Banshee, we have Dazzler. I think he kind of, you know, it's kind of represented there. Morph.
I was wondering if anyone's gonna meme and bring him up. No, but I want him to be in the game
Put him in the game, but not playable.
and die level mission 1.
Is that the space for him?
Yeah.
I think it's so similar to how I was pitching the Mystique movesets for that character. I think I like Mystique more of a character. So if we are gonna have a shapeshifter, it would be Mystique for me. But I like the shout out.
I also like. I definitely I desperately want a Mojo Vision section in this game, a level.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking, like, should Longshot be a character as, like, the character you unlock in that level? But ultimately, it's like, you don't need Longshot. Like, you could just put them into crazy scenarios, funny, like, alternate worlds, and then have Mojo as the boss. But, like, I'm not going to make, as much as I love that character, I'm not going to make a case for him playable. So those can be a couple shout outs. And then Travis mentioned this character, not wanting him on the list. I really want Mr. Sinister on this list. I think he would be super fun. Different, like, beam type powers, the way he, like, just recombines himself when he's taken out. Weird gene splicing things that he's got going on. I don't know. I think he could be a fun character. At the very least, in there as a villain and you fight the dirty boys or the nasty boys, whatever they're called.
Nasty boys.
That would be a fun sequence. But I think he would be a really fun villain on lock. And looking at our list, like, I don't think we have. I guess we have a few villains now, so we don't necessarily need another one on the list. But I would really like to see Mr. Sinister make it.
I really like the pick. The cloning aspect is obviously something that I do find interesting with my pitch of, like, multiple man. I feel like Sinister would probably, because it doesn't, like, multiple man in my mind is, like, a lot bigger scale of clones. Mr. Sinister could be, you know, maybe in that 3 max or whatever it might be that the Nintendo Switch allows. But also just, like, his move set, I feel like no matter what it could be, it would work for me. Like, if he is able to take out light mobs, which is some light attacks, like, it would make sense just because he looks dangerous. And just those voice lines would be great to just, like, have in combat when his little one-liners with the team. Like, I just think it could be so great. And just a fun character to play.
Teaming up with Cyclops and Jean, like, that would just be so fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, if you guys feel that strongly, I'm fine with locking because I know other X fans would be happy with it. I just worry for and this is a made-up world, it would be like your Wanda, Dylan, where you'd be like, oh man, I was looking so forward to. I just feel like it's a tough character to crack, but I would be fine to lock him because of just his legacy, and so I'm down for a lock.
Cool, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all the characters that we wanted to consider. So now we have that.
Yeah.
We have that part of it built. So now it's just about locking the final 36. So how about we take our last break here, catch our breath, and then we will close this list off. Okay, we are back for the last section of this list. So let's bring it up on screen here. This is our short/long list. Here's who we have right now locked. We have Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, Colossus, Gambit, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Jubilee, Cable, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Magic, Magneto, Kitty Pryde, Sunspot, Psylocke, Angel, Dazzler, Kazar and Zabu as one character, Sentinel, Omega Red, Apocalypse, and Mr. Sinister. So that puts us at 26 characters, I guess. Yeah, 26.
Man.
So we have 10 more. We have 10 more slots from our contenders. Do one of you want to read off this list of contenders that we have here?
Dark Phoenix, Sabretooth, X-23, Deadpool, Professor X, Mystique, Emma Frost, Pyro, Bishop, Forge, Juggernaut, Domino, Negas, Sonic, Teenage Warhead, Multiple Men, Havoc, Lady Deathstrike, and Silver Samurai for contenders.
So that's 17. So if we want to look at it that way, we just have to cut 7 of those, and then we have a list, unless there's any oddball picks that sneak in there. But
If this game was announced, like, tomorrow with just the roster that we have, there's those 26, I would that would blow my mind. Like, that is such a hype list right there. Kazar and Zabu is one character. Are you kidding me, you guys?
I don't know if we're starting with locks or whatever, but let's just find out where he is. For me, you look at this list. We have Kazar on there. We have Sentinel. We have this list and Xavier. Professor Xavier, the leader of X-Men, is not going to be on here. You kidding me? And if we got Sinister, we got Quicksilver, we have Dazzler, other characters who've been like, oh, how could you do this? It'd be tricky. Xavier, who's been in a game already, like, I feel like now when we've reached not the bottom, but some of these characters, I feel like Xavier should get a spot on that final list there.
can we make a trade? Can we make a trade?
What's the
Go
trade?
ahead, Kirklin.
I was just going to say, I hear you, but there's still, like, looking at those lists right now, I feel like there's so many contenders that are like, wow, I'm surprised we actually don't have them on that lock list already. And Charles isn't one of them yet. Maybe he will be.
What's your
He's
trade,
not my number
Dylan?
1. I mean, I would have to make a ranked list, but my I was thinking if you would cut Bishop, I would put Professor X up. I don't want to do it for free, but that would be my trade. Is if you're okay to drop Bishop,
I would cut
officially-
Bishop for X. Yes, I would.
Okay.
I mean, I can't do it on
I would
my
allow
own,
it.
Kirkland. What do
I
you
would
think,
allow
John?
it. I would allow that.
Well, we
Okay.
could have 2 versus
Bishop,
1.
sorry,
we know how
Bishop,
Golden
you're
Geese
officially
works.
gone, and Professor X is officially moved up.
Boom.
It's good to see.
So we got to
X-Men to
cut
me.
6 more.
I think at this point, I would rather have more unique characters than having Dark Phoenix and Jean Grey.
I agree.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll agree.
So we'll kick Dark Phoenix out. We'll say that, her moveset's incorporated in Jean Grey in some way.
Maybe you
that's a
can do
boss
like
fight.
a Zelda Sheik thing where you can switch between the 2 midway.
Yeah,
That'd be
sure.
cool.
Something like that.
Like you said, Kirkland would like binary mode. Just do Phoenix
Yeah.
mode. And, yeah.
Okay.
A new
I-
and unique character that I really am fighting
Nice.
for here. Negasonic
Oh,
Teenage
okay.
Warhead. I feel
Okay.
like she has such a place on this main roster. A new-ish character that really hasn't seen the light of day too much, and like just the effects. I feel like I can already visualize them. Kind of what you like that big one that you pitched, Dylan, of just like the big jump up with the explosion. Like it's just some great AOE attacks as well as some light, smaller blast attacks. Great name.
Could be an interesting mechanic too of like if you choose to do your explode, it like takes away some of your HP, so you kind of have to like use it skillfully,
Yeah.
tactfully at the right time.
High
And
skill
she builds her
ceiling.
HP
Yeah.
up back in some other way.
Sure.
Yeah,
There's enough cool
Yukio.
things.
You
I
You
would
got
Yukio
mine
in the
for it,
game.
so
Yeah, you guys are more hyped on her than I am, but there's enough cool things where I'm
Nice.
I'm not
That was my
down on
trade
it.
for Travis and the other
You
one
didn't say
we
that,
did, Charles.
that doesn't count.
I liked your idea for Forge, Kirkland, but I'm thinking he's getting the boot.
Yeah, he's a boot for me.
Stuck
He's
in the
bottom of
future.
this list. Yeah,
He's
maybe
in the
X-
game. He's not playable though.
maybe Legends 4. You know,
The Days of Future Past DLC. He can be
with Bishop. Him and Bishop will
with
come
Yeah,
together.
there you go. Exactly.
And Bishop's sister, whatever her name is.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and
what
the-
the hell?
and the
Shard,
harmonica.
right?
Shard, yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And the harmonica.
Okay, so now we're at 28, so we have 8 more. Wow, this is a really. I think I'm okay to kick Pyro. We got Sunspot. You guys,
I
fine to
agree.
drop Pyro.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Travis, you mentioned earlier, get 2 or none, and we have Charles. What about Emma Frost? I think
yeah.
she's
Put her in there.
I think
You
she's
got the
very unique
diamonds. I'm
compared to
for that,
Charles.
yeah.
Diamonds.
Let's do
Diamonds
it.
are forever.
Yeah, I was for them both always. I love them both. Make them
Stuff.
different.
Good stuff.
Juggy, how we feeling on Juggy?
I don't know about
I
Jughead.
don't know how I feel about that
I don't know
name,
about
Jughead.
Juggernaut. Like how many tanks do we really got? I've told this before. We got Beast, we got Apocalypse,
Colossus.
and Colossus. We got 3 and a roster of 36. Just 3. Like it's pretty
That's not
light.
even
We're
a
gonna
full team's worth.
Yeah, and we have his brother already on there, so you want Charles and Juggy having to do some like combo moves. He's like, I hate
Throws
you, but, like,
Charles.
let's
at
work
the
together.
enemy.
Yeah, and just kills him though. Kills Charles mid throw. That's the one I think I want the most out of these ones. He's a guy that's been in both Marvel Ultimate Alliance and X-Men Legends. He's a bit of a legacy pick, but I guess I always liked running around as Juggernaut, so that's my pick or my pitch for the next
That's your
one.
number 1 if you had to.
I
pick
think
one.
so. Yeah, I think so. What character has a running power? Quicksilver would, but his is like speed, right? This is like destruction.
He has like a more of a stomp sort of thing.
yeah,
Deal
exactly.
damage around
Your
him.
controller vibrates with every breath he takes.
Yeah, he is fun and weird in Ultimate Alliance 2. I remember him from that.
Yeah, but Kirkland's not on the Jug train.
He's not on the Jug train.
He's
Is
probably
anyone
pretty
on the
low.
Domino train?
We can
Not strongly.
not strongly either. We can get rid of her now.
Lower than
She could be in the
Jughead
X-Force
for me.
DLC.
Yeah, X-Force DLC back.
with
With
Zeitgeist
Sauron.
and Shatterstar.
Sauron's an X-Force
Vanisher.
member now. He's a leather suit, black and gray.
Okay, so we are at 29 now, meaning we need 7 more of these. And this is how many? This is 9.
So we got to cut 2. Ooh.
That doesn't
I
sound too bad.
I pitched both of them, Silver Samurai and Lady Deathstrike. I have Silver Samurai higher than Lady Deathstrike.
I do as
if
well,
it
too.
comes down to
Interesting.
that.
And because we already got Sabretooth and X-23, I feel like I don't know if we could keep all 3 of those and Wolverine. That's a
We
lot
don't
of
have X23
knifey.
yet.
No,
Or you're
I
talking
meant
about
like
contenders.
in contenders. Like
Yeah.
if we have to, is there a version of this where we keep all 4? I don't think so, in my opinion. And
No.
Deathstrike's the lowest on that list for me out of the two. And I'm with Kirkland where I
does
like
Deathstrike,
Silver
is she
more.
not more like interesting from a character perspective, like story wise,
Then who?
than Samurai?
She's just, her dad got killed and she blames Logan, you know? Like, that's it. And she's just gonna have, I hate you, Wolverine, but we'll work together.
Or aren't
you
they like
know?
ex-lovers too? Like that's interesting.
Yeah, get that. Sabretooth and him would be ex-lovers. They could change that in this game.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are both locked on Samurai, then I guess I'm okay to drop Deathstrike to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Cut her out of there.
So we gotta
Sad,
cut one
but-
more.
Man,
I got the controversial pick.
you're gonna say Deadpool, aren't you?
I'm gonna cut Deadpool. I've said before, we've had enough Deadpool. No one's gonna miss it. No one's gonna be like, oh man, Deadpool. Like, that's the way I would go.
I pitched him. I would say to cut Multiple Man.
Oh, okay.
Because we have Sinister in there now, right? And that was the cloning
True.
character that
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
think-
and like
yeah.
I think I fully haven't solidified on the moveset for Multiple Man and how that would be balanced. It's the trickiest character on there, I think, to kind of implement into a game, but
You could just take the best of Multiple Man and put that into a tier of Sinister, right? Like what you're gonna do for
Yeah.
that character, and like one
Yep.
power set, like the multipleization. Like you could do that with Sinister. So
I mean, even like, I don't know, with the mind tricks, like Emma Frost or Xavier could do something weird like that, where there's like clones or fake people.
Yeah.
yes,
that
Jean
enemies
Grey can
have
do
to
that
fight.
too. Yeah.
So I think
I
we should
agree.
cut Multiple Man for
There you
for
go.
the sake of it here.
I agree.
saved you Deadpool.
Yeah, it did.
Which means that Sabretooth, X-23, Deadpool, Mystique, Juggernaut, Havoc, and Silver Samurai make it. Which those are all really
Samurai.
those are all really cool picks. Like, I mean, obviously I was
Yeah.
excited for Havoc. Mystique's never been playable in one of these
Mhm.
games. I feel like this list would be wrong without Deadpool on it.
Yes,
and then
of course.
X-23 and Sabretooth in there, like, yeah,
That's sweet.
really, really cool.
And again, that gives like those three are different. Wolverine's just the classic claws. X-23 with that foot claw, I feel like they could do tons of fun attack
Mhm.
that. And Sabretooth, you just make the tankier one. And again, Silver Samurai, even if you're lower hype on them, I just feel like if you were to get that full roster list and build up, if you got, they'd be like, man, what's this character gonna play like? Like, why did they include Silver Samurai? And I think there could be some. Again, he could also be that low tier character where like, man, this guy sucks. He's slow. He just has a sword. They didn't give him any other powers. He's tanky, you know. But there's something just unique. And plus, like you said, we don't have that many villains. How many villains do we end up having? Mystique, Magneto, Sinister, Apocalypse, Samurai, Sabretooth.
Yeah,
Omega Red.
So
Sentinel.
Omega Red, Sentinel. So we're at
Magneto.
8.
yeah.
So 8.
Man.
So like almost like not that much of the roster is villains. So
That's a good
Yeah.
amount of villains.
So if this game's announced and you see this roster, who you guys saying like that's gonna be my first character? That's who I'm gonna main. As soon as I unlock them, like I'm playing them first. I know there's a lot there, but do you have someone on the top of your head? For me, I feel like it'd be Omega Red, just because
yes,
it's like
you're right.
you
You're
guys
right.
would be
Man.
fighting for him. When
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
walk in.
it's my
It'd be that or Apocalypse, just because I don't think Apocalypse would end up being my favorite, but I'd love to try it out. But you know what? I'll show him out. Professor X, there's a chance because he could be that character of like, oh man, he is super fucking OP. Like he could be that character. Remember when Taylor for some reason was Ghost Rider and he was always last? That could be Xavier. Like, oh man, Travis is still here, like floating around as Xavier. And Xavier, he could have good evades with that chair too. So
Yeah.
Xavier, I'd be curious because I thought, okay, what could they have done with him to make him playable here? You know?
Cube Rider, Cube Charles.
Cube Rider in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely be most excited for someone who's never been in there before, like Khazar and Zabu. I honestly would maybe
Yeah.
one for me, or like Kitty Pryde. I think as well would be
Mm-hmm.
one that I would be super hyped for, and I could see myself just being locked on her for like 4 hours in a row once we finally unlock her in the game.
Quicksilver done well could be like really
yes,
cool.
That would
Oh,
be
yeah.
just to see what it's like for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one that I think I would really, really like is Magic as well. Just the
Yes.
big
Yeah.
sword slicing through.
Just
Those
great in
one-liners,
Midnight
the Russian
Suns.
one-liners.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That's a
This is
sick
shaping up
roster,
to be a
man.
great roster, great
I'm
game.
sad looking at it right now.
Yeah.
'cause I want this so bad.
Pre-order
you know?
this right now.
Yeah, even if you could took half the roster, be like, hey, give me this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
Kirkland, why don't you do the honors and read this list off one more time?
All right, from the top, we got Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, Colossus, Gambit, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Jubilee, Cable, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Magic, Magneto, Kitty Pryde, Sunspot, Psylocke, Angel, Dazzler, Khazar and Zabu, one character. We got the Sentinel, Omega Red, Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister, Professor X, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Emma Frost, Sabretooth, X-23, Deadpool, Mystique, Juggernaut, Havoc, and Silver Samurai.
Damn.
Ooh.
What a list. What a list.
Yeah.
There you go. Boys, this was very fun.
Yes.
Thank you
Yeah.
for joining me on this one. I always love nerding out on rosters and whatnot. I'm glad we've done this now for Ultimate Alliance multiple times, done it now for X-Men. A good kickoff to X-Men month or 2 X-Men months. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a
The month
quick
of
way
X.
to say that.
The months of
The
X.
season,
months of
season of
X.
X.
Season of X. There you
Season
go.
of X.
There's
There
Power
you
of
go.
X, House of X. So seasons of X.
It's somewhere
Season
in
of
between
X.
spring and summer is the season of X.
Yeah.
The hidden season. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. Like I said, if you're an X-Men, we go check out our animated series coverage. Go check out all the other lists and rankings we're going to do. A lot of those are on Patreon or exclusive on Patreon, so that's a good place to go. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.